Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Michele, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up here in New South Wales, Australia. So please jump on, say hello, let us know where you're from, because it's always great seeing new people joining us, and also everybody else that usually jumps on as well. It's great having you on here as well. So please let me know if you're watching. Okay, this is a gift card holder that I made quite a few years ago, and I thought I'd reproduce this but using some of our current products. So let's get started. Now I'm going to be using, I sort of haven't really made up my mind exactly where we're going with this. I do know that I'm going to be using crumb cake cardstock, which I believe is the same cardstock I used on this one. So crumb cake cardstock. I am going to be using the designer series paper from the Ness of Winter because I like this green in this, and I'm also going to be using the stamps from this as well. I've also pulled out the holly from the reindeer fun because I think that is really great as well. I've got some gold foil here. I've got some blends. So we're just going to create and see what we come up with. So I'm going to start off with my crumb cake cardstock. So I've got a piece here, and I need to cut this piece down to, now I've just got to check my measurements here. I've got to cut it down to 17.5 by 11.5. So as you can see, I've already cut a piece off this. So this is 21 centimeters in length this way. So I'm going to cut this here at 11.5 centimeters. It's quite a good size gift card holder. So you could probably fit maybe 2 gift cards in this, one behind the other. And then we're going to cut this down to, as I said, to 17.5. So let me just bring that in. Sorry, I've just got things balancing on top of each other here. So 17.5 is about there. So we'll trim that down. Keep those little bits, we'll need those. Let me just fold that back in. And then we're going to score this. We're going to make 2 score lines, one at 6 centimeters and one at 13. So we're going to do one at 6 and one at 13 centimeters. So I hope you're all having a good day today. It's pretty miserable here in the Southern Highlands in New South Wales. We've had rain for the last couple of days. Had a big storm the other day. But I've had rain on and off for the last couple of days, and I think at the moment it's just sort of sky's grey but trying to drizzle. Okay, so let's now angle our corners here. As you can see from here, on this one here, I've angled my corners there. So I'm going to angle both of these ones here, and I'm going to put a little pencil mark at 2 centimeters on both the top and bottom on each corner. And that's where I'm going to cut. So I'm going to make another one here at 2 centimeters. Whoops, sorry, you can't really see me do this. So I'm just going to mark it. You could use a ruler, but I'm just using my trimmer here. And then I want one on the side here as well. Okay, so I've put a notch in from corner up to 2 centimeters, corner along to 2 centimeters on both sides. And now we're just going to do is we're just going to cut that in half, cut those corners off. Now you could just use a pair of scissors, but I'm just going to use my trimmer here. So I'm just putting my notch into the groove of my trimmer, and we're just going to cut that one off, move that piece, and do the same on the other side. Okay, just like that. So the other thing I wanted to do is grab some of my designer series paper, and I want to cut a couple of pieces of this. So I need to cut, I want to make it slightly smaller than this area in here. Let me remove my pencil. So this section, oh, I think I've cut it at the wrong one. I have to. Okay. Let me grab another piece of cardstock. I have cut it from the bottom piece rather than from the top. I have just been a little bit of an error there, so bear with me 1 second. These things do happen. We'll just start this again. I mean, you can still make a gift card holder out of that. It just probably won't fit what I'm planning to put onto my onto the front of it. So you would have to just, so I will reuse it or use it again, but I just won't be using it for this particular gift card. Good thing I saw that before we decorated it. So what I did, as you can see, there's a piece that folds up here which forms your pocket. So what I've done is I've actually angled that pocket portion, that size there, rather than this top piece here. So I can still use this. It'll just be a smaller section there. And I probably will do that, but I will reuse it for another project. For this one here, I do want to have that deeper depth through there. So let's just do this again. So we want to cut this at 11.5. by 17.5. Now, I haven't done a screenshot of the measurements I'm using, but I will put all these measurements on my blog. So as I said before, this is scored now at 6, and that's the side we want to cut those corners off. So we want to score it at 6 and score it at 13. Yes, just checking my measurements there. Okay, so this is the wider one that we want to use. So again, I'm just going to just bring this into view for you a bit more. So mark 2 centimeters that direction. 2 centimeters on that one. 2 centimeters there. And 2 just there. And again, we're just going to cut those corners off. One. 2. Get rid of those little pieces there. Now let's bring in this green piece here. So I want to cut this piece because this piece here is 11.5 centimeters wide. So I want to cut this piece at 11, which I already have done. And then our first portion here is at 6 centimeters. So I want to cut a piece here at 6 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it to 13. No, I'm not. I'm going to cut it at 5.5 because I want to have it a little bit narrower. So this measurement through here, let me just double check everything, make sure before we cut. Yes, that measurement through there is at 6. Our next measurement between the two score lines is at 7. So we want to cut a piece a little bit narrower than 6. So I'm going to cut it at 5.5. And then I'm going to cut another piece at 7, 6.5, because we want to make it a little bit narrower than that 7. And then I'm going to have one more piece, which is this piece at the bottom, which is 4.5. So I'm going to cut that at 4. Okay, so this is the piece here that is the 5.5, and again I want to angle those corners, and if I put approximately a 2 centimeter mark there, I'm probably making it a little bit narrower than 2, and let me just move this back up, and just a little bit narrower than 2, so I'm actually making it around about 19 mil on that one. And to about 19 there. And there. And then we're just going to, again, cut those off at an angle. Hi, Lucia. How you going, sweetheart? It's good to see you here. So pleased you had a lovely holiday away. You made a lovely card using these papers the other day, so I thought, oh, now I've got to do one using the similar papers. But I'm just going to make a gift card today, gift card holder. Okay, so here's our piece, and I'm just going to fold each of these score lines, grab my bone folder. Here it is, hiding behind all my blends, and give that a good burnish down. Now, with my one that I had done a few years ago, I had really given this an antique feel. So I still want that sort of antique feel with this. So I have grabbed 2 different coloured inks here because I'm not quite sure which one I want to use. I have got Pecan Pie and I've got Early Espresso. So I'm going to try and go around it with my Pecan Pie first. And I've just got a sponge dauber here because it's easier to come back and add a darker colour rather than trying to add light over the top of dark. And this might be enough, but we'll see how we go because I'm really playing this by ear today. So I'm just going to go around all my edges with my dauber. Now, of course, you could use your brush to do this as well, your blending brushes. But I just really, because we're going to have the designer series paper on the edge of that, I just really want to do the edges. So the dauber will do this fine. Now you can purchase these daubers in packs of 5. Fortunately, I can't give you the price for them at the moment, but I will have that, all of my products I've used today on my blog. Well, I hope you like it, Lucia, because it's yeah, it's a last minute, like, what am I going to do today? It was trying to work it out. Now, I'm also going to pop some of this onto these scored lines as well, because we really do want this to look like it has been well and truly loved and maybe a little bit worn. Okay, and one more. And I'm actually quite liking this Pecan Pie on this, just giving a nice little bit of a reddish tone to it. So there we are. We've gone around and done all of that. Now I'm going to do the same sort of thing, but with the edges of my designer series paper. So I'm just going to very quickly go around all these edges just to give them a little bit of age, because this has got a white base. So I'm just really taking away a little bit of that whiteness from it. I still want the whiteness there, but just taking that off, just taking the edge off it, I suppose you could say. And we're going to do that to all these pieces. Just working around it all. It is a lovely DSP, this one. It's very pretty. And I love the birds in it. Okay, last one. Almost have to stretch my shoulder. It's sort of good exercise doing this. You think only your hands are affected, but no, my shoulders are being affected. Okay, so that's that done. I still want the early espresso, so what I'm going to do with that is put that there. I've got a scrap of crumb cake here, and I have grabbed the Merry Christmas sentiment from the reindeer bundle. So I'm just want to use that Christmas sentiment there, because this particular stamp set comes with lots of lovely sentiments. You know, you've got sending thanks, thinking of you always, and a friend like you brings me happiness, but not necessarily a Christmas, a Merry Christmas. So I thought, well, no, I need a Merry Christmas on this, because this is a gift, a Merry Christmas gift. So I'm going to stamp that there in the early espresso ink. Okay, so that's that all done. And we'll pop that to one side, and we're going to adhere all of these pieces down. So I'm just using my multi-purpose glue for this. You could use your seal, but I just like my multi-purpose glue because the fact that I have got a bit of that time to put it into place if I don't get into where I want it straight up. So I'm going to pop this down on here, and that's going to fit in there beautifully. Just give that a really good rub down. Now you could have, if you wanted to, gone around the inside edges with this, and actually I might just do that, just using up the ink that's already in on this, and just go around these edges just on the inside, just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just want to continue that colour down a bit, and I'm only taking it probably about 2/3 down that side, because this is going to come up and cover it. So that's just going to follow that look all the way around. Glad I saw that. Okay, then this piece here. All those beautiful birds, and I'm gluing them down. Well, pop that one onto there. Just making sure that these lines here are roughly all in the meeting up, so they're sort of like they're following in line. And then we have our last piece, which is going to go, I need a little bit more glue, I think, here on this end. And that's going to go right down that very last piece there. Okay, so that's just making sure all of that is glued down. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to grab here, and you can use any hole punch that you may have, but I'm using my, the big one. I can't even think now what it's called. Sorry about that. And I'm going to punch a hole in this at around about 3.25, 75, I should say. So that's around about the middle. Crocodile, that's what it's called. And I'm going to punch that around about a centimetre in. So I've already popped this. I think mine's probably more like 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to line that up. Yeah, it is hard to lose the birds, but that stripe is nice. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of the ink around that hole. Just blend it out a little bit. So then it just looks like it's all meant to be. There we go. Now we need our tearing tape for this. And this is going to give us a nice, good seal on this. You could also use your multi-purpose glue. Just while I'm talking about that, I'll put the lid on that before it dries. But I like to use things like this, my tearing tape, and we're just going to pop a little piece of tearing tape on that smaller end. Now I'm just tearing this off. You can, of course, use a pair of scissors if you want to use a pair of scissors, but it does tear quite easily. It's really personal preference. I'm going to give that a good burnish down because I really do want that to be adhered well. And then I'm just going to peel that backing off on each side. Just tuck those little ends under a bit. And again, give that a really good burnish just to make sure that that has adhered well. And there's our pocket. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a gift card here on me at the moment, but a gift card would just slip nicely just into that area there. Okay, so there's our basics of our gift card holder. So now we're going to decorate. So what I thought I'd do, I've got some scrap basic white here, and as I said, it's just scrap pieces I've got. And I'm going to pop that to one side, and I've got my stamp here, whoops, and my Memento black ink, and I'm just going to stamp this bird onto my cardstock like that. Now, I'm not quite sure where I have put my, there it is. Just want to clean off my stamp. And I think about it. Give it a good scrub, get that Memento off there. Not that it will stain, but still, it's nice to get that nice and clean. And while I'm doing that, this is drying out a little bit, which is good. Pop that up there. Now I've just grabbed a whole stack of blends here. I have got Lemon Lolly. I have got Boho Blue, Real Red, Misty Moonlight. I have got Wild Wheat, and I have got a couple of the browns, SU200 and SU100, and I think I have to check. It's one of those I want. I don't want both of them. I've also got my colour lifter just in case I need it. So let's get started and colour this bird in. So I'm going to start off with my light colours. So I'm going to use my Balmy Blue. And I did play with one earlier so I could test out the colours, and I'm not quite sure. There we are. So I'm just going to pop it up there so I can see where I put these colours. And actually I'm going to start with my light lemon lolly. And all I want to do is colour his underbelly area. And I'm just really at the moment just laying down some colour. And then I'm going to do the same with the light balmy blue. Just want to lay some colour down. So I'm not really going in any flicking it too much or doing anything. I'm just laying the colour down over the top of his body, except for that underbelly area. It doesn't matter if it blends into there a bit, because I will be blending it in a minute into that area. Just giving it a bit of a flick. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of blue there and just bring in a little bit of that light blue underneath that lemon lolly. So all this is going to get blended in together in a minute. Then I'm just working with the light colours at the moment. Then I'm going to bring in the light boho blue. Just checking, making sure I've got the right one. There's my dark boho blue. That's the next one, which is the Misty Moonlight. So I've got my light boho blue, and I'm just going to go over now some of these areas where Stampin' Up have given us some lines to show shading on his body. And again, I'm just going to give this a bit of a tick. So a tick, like just a soft tick, where you're just bringing your pen down harder on the white and then lifting it up. So you're just getting that little bit of a tick effect there. And I'm just going to bring that up. And again, just bring a bit more up there. And then this time I'm going to go into his wing, and again, just add a bit more. Now I'm not worried about whether I've got white areas in his wings, because I am going to be adding some more colour in there. I just want a bit more up on top of his head. And around his beak a little bit. This is all going to get blended out in a minute. And I always like to come back with my lightest colour and just go over it again. Hello, Joan. How are you? Thanks for joining us. So again, I'm just going to come in here and just do a very fine light flick. And I'm going to come back in with my lemon lolly and again just go over this area. Now that will give us the blue, and the yellow will give us a slight green toning, and that's okay because we want it to blend. And I like to just be able to add colours and just build it up little by little. So I've just come back in there with my light again. Now I'm going to grab my lightest one in the Misty Moonlight, which is this one, and then start filling in some of these areas, giving a little bit more colour into his tail. But again, I'm not giving it solid colour. I'm just adding a little bit of light and dark to it. Again, just coming in, adding a few flicks around the edges where there might be a bit of shadowing, top of his head, but not taking out as far as I went with the other one. Again, a bit more down in here, and there's a little bit of his other wing through there, so the other side of that. The only thing you do have to do when you're colouring like this is just be very careful when you're layering colours. The lighter colours will push those darker colours away. So you just do have to be a little bit careful on them not pushing them away too much. So you don't really want to overwork it. So I'm just coming back in again with a little bit lighter. And now I'm going to come back in again with my lightest. So I'm really not even using the darker shades of each of these colours. I'm just really using the lighter one, and then the lightest one here is just going to blend everything in together. Now I am going to come in a little bit with the wild wheat in the lightest one, and I just want to add a little bit more depth in his underbelly there. And come back in again with the lemon lolly in the light. Whoops, I just want the brush end. And I'm brushing it into that just to blend that all in. And I'm going to leave that at that now. And I'm going to grab the dark wild wheat and I'm going to do his beak. And his feet. Now this is where I need to work out which one of these two I want. I don't want the darkest one. I think it was that one. And that one is series SU200. That's 200. This one's the 100. I think that's the darkest one. Yep, I don't want that one. So we want this one here. And I'm going to use the nib end rather than the brush end here. And again, I'm just going to put a little bit of colour in there. I'm sort of not really colouring it in overly well. Just want to put a bit of colour there. And I'm just going to go over it again a little bit with the wild wheat just to take some of that whiteness out. But I wanted that lightness where his feet are. And then we have the real red. And we're going to use the nib end again here. And I've got the light one here. And I'm just going to colour in these berries, and it doesn't matter if you leave a little bit of white there. And I'm just going to come in with and just put a little bit of a darker. So there we go. It's all coloured in. So now what I need to do is cut him out. So let's grab these pieces here, and I have got the die to cut him out there, and I'm just going to layer that on. Now if you're not quite sure, you don't want that to move, you want to make sure it's nice and safe, just grab something like a tear and tape, well, not tear and tape, Post-it note tape. Oh, my words today. Okay. So I'm just going to pop that across there. And run that through. Just going to pop this over to one side for the time being. And there's our bird, and we don't need all of that. Now, I did have, let me have a look, see if I can find it. I did have a circle here that I had cut previously with the Circles of Nature, I think that's called. And I'm just going to pop that piece out. The other thing I might do with this is just give it a little, just a very soft inking around that bird, just to take off a little bit of that whiteness. You could also do exactly the same sort of thing by using a very light grey in the blends and just go around your edges. And I could have done that before I even die cut these. Just go around that edge of your white of your paper and just take off some of that whiteness. But I'm just going to do it with this one at the moment. Just want to take a little bit of that whiteness off. Probably would have been easier with the blends. Because we are trying to get a little bit of an aged effect. And actually, I'm going to do the same thing around this now. I'm not 100% certain I'm going to use this circle as yet. But I just wanted to bring a little bit of more white into it because we have got those white stripes in our designer series paper. Thank you, Lucia. It's one thing I do enjoy doing is actually colouring. So, okay. Because we've got this and we're trying to get that real effect. Now, I've got to remember I've got that hole there. Now, the reason for that hole, and I'm not quite sure, is that I had the white gingham ribbon for this one, but we don't have the white anymore. But we've got the very vanilla, which will still work even though we've got white in this because it's giving you that aged effect. But we just want to be careful that when we put all of this on, that's why I'm saying I don't know yet whether I'm going to be using this circle, that we're not going to be interfering with this. But even with this one here, I have got it threaded underneath my holly leaf, okay? And so that sort of is loose through there. So let's just cut a piece of this now. I'm going to use this as my guide. I'll cut here a piece which is almost the length of my glass mat here. So I'm going to use that as my measurement, which would round about be through all the ribbon I've got. I've got more of these. Bought myself a stack of them. It's probably around about 45 centimetres in length. So that's pretty much what we need. And I'm just going to angle one corner of this off just so that I can thread it. And we're going to thread it through that hole there. So once we've got that, we know that that's going to go around and come back through there. Now you could put, if you wanted to, and actually I might do that, I'm going to put a little bit of tear and tape on here. So I'm going to grab some tear and tape, and that's just going to hold that in place. So what did I say? This was 11.5. So that's going to be 5.75. So I'm going to put a mark there, and I'm going to pop another one, 5.75, about there. So that's basically where my tear and tape is going to go, but I'm not going to take it the full length. I'm just going to take it a little bit in from that. Whoops. I want that to be in the middle, so those marks to be in the middle of my tear and tape. I'm going to tear this off. It's going to work out better. There we go. So I've got a piece here which is probably about 2 to 3 centimetres in length. I'm going to pop that over there. So when this ribbon is going to go through there, we want it around about the same length, thereabouts. And we're going to take that down to there. That ribbon's going to hide that tear and tape just there like that. So that's how we're going to tie off. Now I've got a little bit of a pencil mark there. I'm going to just gently rub that out. That's from when I put my hole in there. So that's that. Now let's see where we're going to pop this. So I've got some other bits and pieces here. So that can actually cover up that hole a little bit, but we'd probably have to have something coming out to give it a bit more length this way to hide it. Or we're going to pop this circle up on dimensionals anyway, but it does need to come So that's going to go there like that. Let's grab our sentiment, trim that down. And I don't want this to be too thick, so I'm just trimming that down a bit. And I'm using my plastic guide as my guide. I'm lining up my letters with the edge of that plastic guide and then moving them in a bit. Or the other way you can do it on this particular trimmer, the metal piece in here that's actually the cutting, part of the cutting mechanism, it's just shy of the width of that. And I can probably make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to grab a Post-it note. So I just want to bring this in a little bit tighter in width. And that's just going to act as a bit of a handle. And I'm just going to just take that just a fraction. Now I just want to cut that a little bit tighter. That's better. And then I'm going to, what angle will I do? Just want it at a slight angle. Every time I do this, I get this wrong. Let's see if I can get this right. So I'm just using that as a template. That's it. There we go. And then we just need to go around the edges of this one as well. So I might need to just grab that pecan pie because I think I've used all the ink in that now. Well, Achia, you're quite welcome to come and join me here in Mossvale at any time when you're passing through. We can colour together. Or if I come down to Melbourne, haven't been down there for a while, to come down and visit. That's where you are, isn't it? Down Melbourne way. Should go back down there again one day, but all my cousins have moved from Victoria up to Queensland, so okay, I'm not going to put that ink pad away yet because I have grabbed some holly. I've grabbed these little leaves as well, and the other thing I have grabbed is my gold foil and the bow punch. Now, I'm not quite sure whether I want to do it this way. I'm going to cut both of those out if I can, because I don't know whether I want the big one or the little one or a combination of both. So let's see if I can get another one out. I'm using up all bits and pieces today. So these I've already cut. Now, if I use these, I also want to go around these to give them a bit of an aged effect as well. But let's just have a look and see how we can put this on here. So we have our bird going there, our Merry Christmas across the top. I'm actually thinking I probably should have glued that down in there, but that probably doesn't really matter that much. That across the top like that. Just don't know whether, I think the little ones could be a good one, and I think I actually am liking the way that is coming across. So Doncaster is, which direction from Melbourne is that? My family live more Gippsland, so which is what the eastern side. So is Doncaster to the west, to the south, or sorry, more to the east? Don't know my way around Melbourne very well. Okay, so let's just pop this circle onto some dimensionals. So I'm just using my large dimensionals here. Now, if this, I don't want it to adhere to the ribbon, but if it does, I'm not really overly worried because I have adhered the ribbon down at the back, so it's not going to want to slide backwards and forwards anyway. But I'm sort of thinking it just may, just want to make sure it's folded nice. So let's have a look. It's going to go over the top of the ribbon. That's fine. So there's that on there because I didn't want it to go too far over the top there, because if you wanted to put that into an envelope, even though it's a lot smaller than an envelope, you'd still have to put it into a standard envelope. Your east. Oh, okay. I'm just trying to think where my aunt and uncle are. They are at, now are they near Cranbourne now, or they were near Cranbourne? Because I know Cranbourne. Okay, so we're going to pop that onto there. I'm going to pop a little bird on there. So I'm going to glue him down rather than putting him on dimensionals. Well, we'll definitely come to visit one day, Lucia, if we get back down to Victoria, because as I said, I've still got an aunt and uncle down there. Got one cousin in Gippsland and lots of great, or second cousins in that area, but my other cousins are up north, up in Queensland now. So it'd be good to catch up, be good to go down there and see you. Now I've got this little one here we could pop into there, but I'm going to give those edges a little bit of a, this is just a die cut piece, and because I used an edge rather than throwing the cardstock away. So don't throw those little pieces away. You can tuck them in all sorts of places. Just giving that a little bit of a grunged effect. And then we can put a little bit of glue there, and I'm just going to pop it in that one little spot. Pop that there. I'll probably put a little bit too much glue there, so I'm going to cover it up with some holly, some berries. Since he's got berries in his mouth, we should add some berries on here as well. And here I am saying don't want to go too far, and that's going out over it, but we'll just tuck that down a bit while that glue is still damp. Then we're going to grab, I've got this one here which I've already attached berries to, and I'm actually going to slip that in underneath. Now let me just have a look. I'm going to pop that, I think, across there, so he's going to be glued there, but I'm going to put dimensionals on this end here. And I think I do like the idea of this holly going underneath my ribbon. Don't need to cover it all up. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue along that length of that side of that holly because it's going to get tucked underneath the ribbon. But it's not completely underneath that circle. So we've got 2 of these. We might just pop this sentiment on first. Need to cut that down a bit, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to pop that underneath that piece there, and we're going to pop a little bit of glue on here. Oops, peel off that backing. It'll stick that way, won't it? And we're going to position that. Don't want to cover up his tail. I want to bring that over a bit. Have that there, like so. And then we can do we need these pieces now? I don't know. Do we need them? Let me just have a look. I haven't cut anything out in that. I do have some pieces cut in that in not the right colour. This is my little boxes of odds and sods. I just kept Chinese containers. And I've got all these little pieces that I've cut, and I think, okay, might be able to use some of them. These pieces here I've cut in granny apple green, and I've done the edges, so they might even just do what I want to do. I've got 3 of those, the coloured edges. Actually, I've got 4, and I've only got 3. So let's just see if I can use those. Let's just have a look. Because we can pop one in there. I don't know whether that gold might be a little bit too much. I like these. Okay, I'm going to pop one of those in there. I can cut those gold pieces down. So this is just sort of decorating, using up all your little bits and pieces. That's the beauty of doing little gift card things. You can use up all your little scraps. Instead of the bird, you could easily have put the a reindeer on there. Actually, I like that coming out, so I'm glad I didn't put any glue underneath those holly leaves there, because I'm going to pop this one here underneath the holly to sort of build that up a little bit. Now I have glued that one down because I didn't want it to interfere with the ribbon. So where can we put this one here? Because we want a little bit in 3s if we possibly can, but he might just go underneath there. That's a good spot for him. Putting a little bit more glue on this one just because I don't want it to have a little bit more strength being in that position. And if we wanted to, we could actually cut. Well, let me see if instead of cutting that, whether I've got any more holly bits. So as you can see, I've just got lots of bits and pieces in here. Yep, I've got more holly bits here. But do I have any cut bits? And I just realised I didn't do the edges of those. Oh well, no one will know but us. Might even just see whether sometimes you can just grab a little bit of scrap paper pop it underneath, just go around those edges that way. See, now no one will know. We've fixed it. Hello, Marie, how are you? Okay, now, question is, do we need to add more holly? Because we could add more in there, but I'm still thinking, no, I don't think we do. Do we need to add a bit more gold, or do we leave it as is? I'm thinking that gold's looking a bit too shiny. I think I'm going to leave it as is. What do I always say? Less is more. So let me just pop these pieces away so I don't lose them. These can go into one of my boxes so then they can get used again another time. And let's pop all that away. So there's my, as I said, my original one that I made quite a few years ago. And then this is the one we've made today. And we can just tie that off. I'm going to tie it upside down. I find it a lot easier tying things upside down. You get a nicer bow. Just be very careful of all those bits and pieces. Probably could have had my ribbon a little bit longer or not as tied up as what we've done. Let me just try this again. I'm going to do it on the edge. Because I've adhered this down here, I don't have any movement to give a bit of extra length if I need it. And the ribbon is a bit wider than the previous one that I used on my other one. That's okay. There we go. Trim those edges. So there's my version of that gift card holder. Here's the one that I made a few years back. I'm not tying that bow up as well. There you go. There's my this year's take on that gift card holder. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Something a little bit different to a card. Something a little bit fun. If you wanted more movement on your ribbon, you'd have to just make sure you don't adhere it down at the back like I've done there. And also too, you would have to make sure that you've got movement in here. At the moment, I've got dimensionals underneath attached to the ribbon. So I probably just wouldn't put any dimensionals on that side. So thank you. So Marie, long time since you've been here, taking things easy, hoping everything gets done around here. Got snow today, and coming tonight. Oh, will you stay nice and warm? It's supposed to be spring, Marie, but it's been a little bit cool. We haven't really hit, by this stage of the year, we've usually hit the hot weather. It's starting to get quite warm, but it's actually we're still getting days that are quite cool. Like today is only probably about, I don't know, this morning I think it was only about 10, which is, I know it's probably still like it's warm compared to where you are. It's 14.3 now. So, yeah, whereas about 2 or 3 days ago we were up to 26, which is still not hot. I mean, you know, we can go into the 30s quite easily. So, and I have known it to be quite cold here at Christmas time, which is very, very unusual because usually we have bushfires and things like that. So, but Marie, you stay nice and warm where you are. And thank you very much for enjoying us today. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that's encouraged you to get out there and create something with using these bundles. And as I've done here today, mix your bundles up a bit. It's something I don't always think about doing. I usually get very one-eyed, sort of, blinkered a little bit in thinking when I'm using just one stamp set that's the only stamp set I have to use. Or if I'm playing with a suite, I can't add anything else in it today. But today I've added a mixture of both the wintry tree tops in the designer series paper and the stamps, along with the die cuts and the Merry Christmas stamp from the Reindeer Fun. So you can mix them up a bit and give it a bit of a try. So, as I said, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will catch you again on Tuesday night at 7:30. So take care. Have a lovely weekend. Marie, you stay warm. Lucia, thank you for joining. And you too, Joan. It's been wonderful having you on here and having a chat. So take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.